Hello, Sharon Durbin Graves, Painting with Acrylics 101.com, welcoming you in here into my studio today. Today we're talking about yellow paint in craft, in student grade, and in professional grade. And we want to see what the differences are. This is a craft paint. I know it has to be shaken up. It's thinner. It doesn't have the same kind of pigments. And so I know that a shake-up is necessary. Okay, you saw how that kind of squirted out there. I won't put too much because I know when I lift this palette up, it's gonna run. This is a new student grade paint that I just got. It's by Artsmith and it came from Jo-Ann Fabric. Now I'm just gonna squirt some of that out. This is acrylic paint. 6.75 fluid ounces, a cadmium yellow medium hue. Okay, so this is Utrecht, and I haven't gotten this one out for a while. Let me get this is why I love this paint, but I don't like these tubes. I'm pretty arthritic, and so getting the tube open is problematic. So I always have a pair of needle nose pliers hanging out. This is Utrecht acrylic, Artist Acrylic Colors Heavy Body. Anytime you see those words on there, you know it's going to be thicker paint. It's also cadmium free yellow light. Okay, so this is a cad yellow. It's got cadmium in it. This is a cadmium free one. And it's the lighter version, and you can see the difference from this to this, that this is a lighter color. I could have bought it in the medium shade, but I didn't. I got the light. Sometimes I like to just try something new. So you can see that this is starting to spread out. Right now it's much thinner, the craft paint is, and the student grade is this is a good thickness. I like what I'm seeing there, and this is the heavy body. So let's get over to the our studio, the easel, and try them out. Okay, Sharon Durbin Graves, Painting with Acrylics 101.com, here for a beginning art lesson on different types of paint. I have on my palette the craft paint, the student grade from Jo-Ann Fabrics called Artsmith, and then a Utrecht heavy body professional acrylics paint. Now I've got just a synthetic flat brush, and I'm gonna pick up this paint. I'm just doing different things with the paint so you can see how it works. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to rinse the brush because we want to see each paint by itself. Okay, so I'm just rinsing that brush off, wiping it off on the paper towel. You need water on your brush, but you don't need much. You just want it enough on there so it'll pick up the paint better. So now we're going to come over here with the Artsmith paint. I'm not mixing it with anything else. I want you to see what the paint itself does. Okay, so here comes this. Not a lot in there, it seems like. And now I'm just picking up a little more. I'm going to do that straight line again. Okay. It's a little thinner than what I like. So we'll see. Student grade paint is thinner. Professional paint, this is a heavy body paint. It stayed right there in that pile. Now this is staying in the pile really good over here, the student grade paint, but you can kind of see the difference. Even though this is a lighter color, look what happened. You don't see that gray underneath it from the palette paper like you do with that student grade. Okay, so we're going to come down here and we're going to getting up on that point edge, come down and make like a leaf. Here comes a straight line and a leaf, a leaf. You always want to flip it over because you've got paint on both sides of the brush. You need to learn how to use both sides of the brush in both directions. So I make leaves better on one side than I do on the other. Okay, now I'm going to rinse that out and I'm going to get out my script liner. And a script liner, very thin point brush, a sable natural bristle for the most part is really good. I don't think that a synthetic script liner, I mean these don't hold much paint as it is, and a synthetic it just kind of comes right off. So I really like, I'll spend a few more dollars to get a good like a sable. Okay, so when you're using a script liner, it needs to have, the paint itself needs to be more like ink and less like paint. So that means you need more water on your brush. So I'm tapping it in the water. I tapped it off, but I didn't touch a paper towel with it. So now here is the craft paint. I probably didn't even need water in there because it is very thin. Now I'm just going to pull it and make, see, you roll it to load it, you roll it, and then you pull it out in a line to get that real sharp little point. So let's come back over here. This is a good thing to practice on, to use your script liner to see what it can do. So now here is the student grade. I tapped it in the water and I tapped it off on the basin, but I didn't touch the paper towel. So I'm just going to load it. I'm bringing it up here and I'm trying to mix some of that water with it. Now I'm going to roll the brush in the paint. That's how you load a script liner. You can't just go like this. It doesn't load the brush very well. So you're going to roll it and get a nice sharp point. Okay, so here we are on this. This is our student grade section. It holds pretty good to the paper. It loaded well. All the things that I want it to do. I'm going to load it again. Again, I'm rolling it and I'm getting that fine point on it. Now I'll come out here like this, like if I wanted to make a vine and come that way. I could make a small little leaf. I can paint small little trees with that. Okay, so I'm going to tap that off, or rinse it out, tap it on the paper towel, make sure I got that color out. Now I'm going to put it back in the water and tap it off on the basin once or twice. Now I'm coming over here into the Utrecht Heavy Body and I'm mixing that water in with the paint. And now when I load the brush, now I'm going to roll it in the paint and then pull it out and make that nice line. Okay. See where my hand is on the brush? How far back from the bristles it is? I'm on the end. I know this feels like, well, you have no control. You'd have much more control here. You don't. It's you makes your work look so tight and so contrived that if you'll just back up on that brush, you will be amazed at what you can do. There. So, again, I encourage all of my students. I have private students and I have online students, but I encourage all of my students to not use craft paint if you're learning. If you want to be a fine art painter, craft paint is not what you want to use. It's too thin and it doesn't have enough pigment. You can see the difference in here. All the way across, you can see how much lighter this is. Even though this may be a brighter yellow, it's not bright compared to this. It's not heavy enough. When you're painting on canvas, if you're painting on wood, like a small craft project or a tray or something along those lines, craft paint has its place, and I'm the first to say that. I use it for many things, but when I want to paint a painting, craft paint stays in the drawer and I bring out my artist paints. And a student grade is perfectly good, acceptable. My recommendation for all beginning painters. You can rack up a ton of expense as you learn to paint, and it can almost be to where it's to your detriment. You think, I've spent so much money, I don't even enjoy it. And so this paint here, the Artsmith, I don't think it doesn't say on here how much it was, but I bought it on Black Friday at Joann's Fabrics. So I know it was 50% of whatever it was. So I think it was, I want to say $5.99 or $9.99. And so I got it for half price of whatever that was. So if I were a beginning painter, I would look for my 3 primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, and some white. Possibly black, maybe a Mars black, but I didn't use black for a very long time. So but those would be the 3 colors I would get, would be the 3 primaries. I will put a link in the description where you can get a supply list of everything I use. Now, I don't think you need to go out and buy everything on there. As I said, a beginner needs to start at the beginning, and that's with the primaries, and that's learning how to use them, how to mix them, how they work with each other, and all of that. So yellow, red, and blue, and some white to help you have some shading or some highlights is plenty enough for any beginner to get started. So thank you so much for being here in my studio today. If you enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up and share it with anybody that you think would enjoy this. If they have ever mentioned they want to learn to paint, you can always say there's this great beginning art teacher online. All I teach is beginners. I don't teach anybody beyond that. I would like to get everybody a good start underneath them with good fundamentals and elements of art, things along those lines. If you will take the time to learn those, your art will be better quicker than if you didn't, because you will have to learn them one way or another. It's just, you can't hardly move on without understanding how color works, which is why I don't advocate buying the most expensive paints or buying a ton of different colors. Learn what to do with primaries and then play with them for a while, make some very simple paintings, get some muscle memory with your hand and your brush until you can do these kind of things without even thinking about it. then it's time to maybe move on to some other things. So thank you so much again, Sharon Durbin Graves, Painting with Acrylics 101.com. So glad to have you here today. Have a great day. Let's paint together real soon.